Hello, entrepreneurs, artists, and creators. This is Dave with Founder Dojo. Hey, I want to talk today about the most difficult decision you will ever have to make as an entrepreneur. Most difficult. The question is, should you keep working on this when things aren't going great? I've faced this question many times, and it's by far the most difficult decision. So let's talk about a couple reasons why that is. First of all, when you are in an early stage startup, whether you've concept stage or whether you have customers and you've gotten a little bit of traction, you can always make the bull case and the bear case, right? The bull case is the positive, optimistic case where this project becomes a big, beautiful, profitable business. You can also make the bear case where this is never going to work. And if you do that and you look at these two cases, these two ways of looking at the situation, they're both correct. They're both correct. There are many reasons why something could work. There are many reasons why something can't work. And if you go and pitch this and try to raise money for it, you'll see what I mean. Certain investors will say, oh man, this is great. Other investors will be like, yeah, it's never going to happen. And they're not wrong. They're not right. The thing is, you are the creator. So you can make this thing whatever you want. The question is this what you want? Right? So I'll share with you an example. I recently went through a very, I guess, arduous decision because I kept making the decision then going back on it. But I got involved in the rideshare market. It was very simple how this happened. I was in between projects looking to work on something else. I took a rideshare ride on Lyft. And Lyft charged me $38 for this ride, and I got to talking with the driver, and I just out of curiosity, I said, hey, how much are you making on this ride? And for the $38 fee, the driver was getting $9. And I was like, holy shit, I don't understand this. This is your car, right? Aren't you incurring all of the expenses, at least operating expenses? You know, it's your car. You've got, sorry, I've got the sun coming up. Wait, let me move. Yeah, you've got the auto expenses, the depreciation, the payments, the maintenance, the tires, all this stuff, gas, energy, whatever it is. How in the world are they taking 76%? This seems like totally out of whack. Usually a marketplace will take 10, 15, maybe 20, but to take 76%, that's insanity. And so I got interested in this space and I started looking at it. And the more I looked at it, the more I realized, yeah, this is a huge problem. Essentially, Uber and Lyft are monopolies, and they're taking advantage of both sides of this equation, in my opinion. So they've raised prices on customers faster than the rate of inflation, and now I can't see my face. And they've they've taken money away from the drivers to the point where the drivers can't make any money. And this to me is self-defeating, right? Like if you have a driver network that you've spent hundreds of millions of dollars building, really, and marketing costs and other things, if they don't make any money, you're not going to have drivers anymore. So I don't understand what is going on here. And it looks like they're just optimizing short-term margin and sacrificing long-term. And then, of course, you have autonomous vehicles coming, which could potentially disrupt this business completely, put Uber and Lyft completely out of business. And so, anyway, this was an interesting space. So we started a business. I ended up calling it Joyride. We got initial traction. We have happy customers. We found a defensible strategy against Uber, Lyft, and Tesla. And we're doing it. And the business is profitable. Not at scale, but like in a small bootstrap kind of way. But a lot of crazy stuff is about to happen. Tesla's launching their robotaxi in June. And I've spent over 3,000 hours using Tesla FSD because I needed to know, like, does this work? You know, Elon's been saying for years they're going to have an autonomy solution. And I concluded absolutely it works. The technology is amazing. It just took them longer than they thought, which is not surprising considering how difficult this problem is to solve. Anyway, last night I made the decision to not continue. And the primary reason I don't want to continue is because I don't really want to be in this business. I'm not excited about it. I think there is a business there. I think it's going to be a slog. I think it's going to be low margin. There is a one-piece strategy where we own the cars, and that's essentially a car service with like an app front end on it. And then there's a three-piece strategy where we're more like just the platform. I think autonomy is going to be so successful ultimately that it's going to be very hard to make money with a human driver. Essentially what I'm saying is I don't think anyone will be able to compete with Tesla, including us. Now, I do think there are little niches that we could carve out that are defensible, but that starts to look like not a very interesting business, at least to me. And it's a lot of services. My background is really more software and data companies, like very high margin products. So yeah, I think someone could do this. I just don't think it's the best fit for me. And it's painful for me to say this because I've been working on this for a while, about a year and a half. And I'm attached. One thing I notice when I get into something, I get very passionate about it and very attached. And it's almost like making the decision to cut off your arm. And that's a horrible way to look at it, because this is a non-spiritual way to look at it. Because what I'm doing when I'm holding on to something that's not really for me, is I'm preventing better things from coming. Sorry, more sun. I'm preventing better things from coming. That's what's happening. So there are other projects I have in the pipeline at Insight Studios that I think will be more lucrative, higher margin, more interesting to me, more interesting to other people, employees, helpful, team members, investors. And so I'm letting this go with the faith and the belief that something better is going to come in. And I could be wrong. I could be wrong. At this point, it's May 2025. The Tesla Robotaxi is launching next month in Austin. Maybe it'll be a disaster. I do think people will get into accidents. I think people will die. People die already in auto accidents, about 50,000 a year in the US. So this is a question Is this safer than human? Is it superhuman? Ultimately, I don't think it's superhuman now. I'm a little bit surprised that they're launching now. I'm not sure what safeguards they have in place. These are supposed to be unsupervised, but we'll see what happens. And I think ultimately it will be safer than humans. I think ultimately big segments of the population will accept it, will use it. I think it's going to be rough. I think the first time there's an accident, and maybe every time there's an accident, and especially every time there's a death, the media is going to blast this everywhere. Billionaire Elon Musk kills mother of 4. Definitely going to happen. How Tesla and how Elon handles that is going to be critical. Will they be able to manage the public perception of autonomous vehicles being safe? In addition, what's the pricing? If you get rid of the driver, you can eliminate 40% of the costs on an Uber unit economic basis. Will the Tesla Robotaxi be 40% less than UberX? If so, a shit ton of people are going to use this, even if it's perceived to be a little bit risky. If Tesla goes at 20% discount, it'll go well, but it won't go crazy. If it's at parity, it'll be a novelty. If it's a premium, it will be slow. And maybe it will be a premium because they need to ramp things up slowly with this, both from a safety but also from a cybercab production point of view. So I don't know. In addition, you've got Uber has teamed up with Waymo. Lyft has teamed up with Mobileye, which a company I know nothing about, never used their tech. So you're going to have autonomous options on those other platforms. Will they be as good as Tesla's? No, I don't think so. Will they be as scalable? No. Will they be as profitable? No. Will Tesla ultimately prevail? Yes. I believe they will have a significant... If I would just take a wild-ass guess, today Uber has 85% of the market. You know, Lyft's got 15. Lyft has been growing faster, so Lyft is gaining a little bit. I think where that nets out, probably in the next 5-ish years, I think Uber loses a lot and is maybe 40%. I think Tesla's maybe 30%. I think Lyft is maybe 5%. I don't know. I know that doesn't add up to 100. I don't know. Maybe Tesla's more than Uber. Maybe Tesla's 50%. Uber's 40%. Lyft's 10%. I don't, something like that. I'm very bullish. And the reason I'm bullish is because I've spent over 3,000 hours using Tesla FSD. So anyway, this is a much longer video than I thought, but the point that I wanted to make is that the decision on shutting down is brutal. For me, it's always been brutal. I feel like I'm losing part of myself. But when it's the right thing to do, it's the right thing to do. And so the thing to focus on is that you learned a lot from this experience. You've gained a lot. You've expanded your consciousness with all the experience here. And really, that's the point. That's why we came here anyway. And now it's time to open yourself up to new things. Things that are better. Things that are more prosperous. Things that are more aligned with who you are. And you can't experience those things if you don't let go of what's not working for you. Hopefully this is helpful. See you guys next time.